Hello everybody and welcome back once again to Let's Play Stainless Steel, the Portuguese campaign. And here we are, where we left off last time. Lourenco Portela, attacked by Tajamir Ibrahim of the Moors, who's trying to rescue the Marrakesh garrison.
Make this day ours!
Can he be successful? Lourenco Portela is going to have something to say about that. Right, I will have to make an admission here, and once again, this is after battle commentary, because 3 times whilst trying to record live commentary, the battle crashed. So this is my 4th attempt at the battle, and I am pleased to say that I recorded the battle without the commentary, and it went through fine. So I've got a feeling that it's the fact that I'm recording the commentary and the footage at the same time that's causing the crashing problem, which is a bit irksome. Now, I've had a lot of crashing issues with this game, and it's really beginning to wear very thin. So we'll see how things go, but for my patience, as I said, is beginning to run out with this game. We'll play it by ear for now. But in the meantime, here we are assessing the situation, trying to distinguish where to deploy my troops. Now, using a bit of prior knowledge, of course this is the 4th attempt now, and due to the campaign map positioning of the units, they spawn pretty close together. So my usual strategy of trying to take down the 2 separate armies in 2 separate battles, if you will, 2 mini battles, which obviously we will have the numerical advantage over both of them separately, is not going to be as effective because the other army can reinforce by the time we've dealt with the first one, and then we're going to end up in a position where we're probably going to get flanked because we're engaged against the first force, and we're going to be in a more difficult position in order to manoeuvre our troops to receive the second army. So I decided instead to play defensive. They are the attackers and therefore they will come to us. So I decided to pitch up my men at the top of this hill, giving us a hill advantage, which means we get better range with our archers and our javelins, and of course if the mechanic is in play, such as in Fall of the Samurai onwards.
The enemy have brought up more men. They hope to make up in numbers what they lack in bravery.
Not the Fall of the Samurai, what's the game called? Shogun 2, where you get hill advantage and therefore your melee troops have an advantage over troops that are attacking uphill. I'm not sure if that's in play in this version of Total War, but just in case it is, we'll have the hill advantage as well. So that's what I did, and we just have to wait patiently now for the opponents to come to us. Now, they have, as you've just seen, they have some pretty decent infantry, although of course significantly less than we do. I'm not overly concerned with their horses. So this first army is not a major problem, I thought. And I completely forgot to reposition my ballista, so they're left stranded. So I thought, well, there's no point in moving them now because they're very, very slow and cumbersome. So at the very least, we'll try and see if we can get a fluky shot on their general and kill him in one blow. So let's see how that transpires. They're sending forth their missile cav and already doing a number on my rather exposed artillery unit, and they got a shot off on the wrong unit. It was the Andalusian spears that they attacked, but they picked off 2 of them. They're laying there all dead, char-grilled. So they've done a very small task there. Very, you know, and they're just over the top of the horses there, just over the top. Not quite as lucky as some of the AI have been against me in the past with their flaming boulders of fire. My flaming arrows, not quite as effective. So as you can see at the top of the hill there, that's the second army. They aren't waiting to merge the armies together, they are still going to attack us in 2 separate smaller forces. That could play to our advantage. We just remain here steadfast and patient. My units are set to guard mode so they don't run off and break formation. And they are beginning to send their troops forward in earnest now, starting with their cavalry. Of course, we have the cavalry advantage, so the right flank cavalry lobbing their javelins against the Bedouin cavalry, and the Bedouin cavalry goes straight into melee combat. Although they have suffered significant losses, down to 27 horses there, you can see that our javelins did a number on them, but now they're engaged in melee. This is where they have a slight advantage over our cavalry. It's important that we get those down as quickly as possible to free up our horses to do some flanking, and I get disturbed for about 30 seconds. No? Quicker than that. I was talking for about 30 seconds, I unpaused it and carried on with the battle. Whilst being distracted, which is never a good thing. Anyway, the Bedouin cavalry, 20 horses left, but now we've been reduced to 32 on our side, so they have done a number on our cavalry there. We probably got them engaged in melee for too long, although we were stuck really with what we could do, as the infantry of the opposition begin to crash against our line here, and I start to manoeuvre the second unit of cavalry, first of all to try and mop up the rest of that Bedouin cavalry, so that we can... My general I send forward to engage the No, I don't, not just yet. Apologies. Got ahead of myself there. I was contemplating putting him into the fight against the opposition's general, but instead I decided to move forth the 3 units of cavalry that I have on my left flank. First of all, one of them to take care of the cavalry that are engaged in Cantabrian Circle. The second bunch I decide to use to hammer and anvil the units engaging our left flank. So one unit pulling into the backs of the spears on that side, and the second unit I wheeled away to the centre of the line. A couple of units flying into the trees. We have the remnants of our right flanked cavalry ready to do some hammer and anvil. So we're just pulling them down in anticipation of striking the Moors on their left flank, our right. Of course, we are charging uphill, which is a disadvantage, but it's better than nothing. Taking a while to get going, but there they go. Now they're on the move and straight into the backs, sending their infantry into an instant rout, although they are now deciding to fight to the death.
The enemy are badly blooded. They have lost half their men.
So the first army has lost half its number. At the moment, things are looking not too bad. Balance bar is still 50-50, and now I decide to bring my own general in. Their general is doing a little bit of a number on the central ranks of my line, so I'm pulling my general through to try and even that up. I've got horses walking, and then here comes a devastating fiery boulder or two right into the backs of my horses, and that is not good. We have completely dispatched that unit, who have now fought to the death, and indeed they are dead. But we of course have the second army's infantry marching up the hill. We have flaming boulders being sprayed wildly into our lines. Some of them are connecting, which is rather unfortunate as I pull out my horses. Things are beginning to get a little bit crunch time now, as the second army begins to march up closer. They're going to have, well, I say fresh legs, they march quite a distance, but our units have been engaged for some time now, which is not good. I have pretty much lost all of my horses at this point, and this is where things begin to start to look a little bit grim. I pull my general out, because he's pretty much the only set of horses I have left for flanking, so I'm going to try and see if we can use him to that effect. So out he comes. Still have archers firing into the melee, and of course the enemy have sent forth their camels to harass our left flank, which is nice. So I try and engage their camels with my general on the hope that he'll be able to take them down. We've got archers also firing into the ranks still. So we know horses don't like camels, but it's a situation where we've got no choice. And the balance bar, as you can see, is now beginning to swing heavily in their favour. Our right flank has completely collapsed. Our left flank is the only one still standing. And things are looking mightily, mightily grim at this point. The general is still alive. He's still mobile, but it's going to take a minor miracle at this point to turn this battle around. As you can see from that view there, that they have quite a few melee troops still left. An uphill charge by the general into a quite fortified right flank for the enemy is hopeful at best, foolish at worst.
Only intervention by the Almighty Lord or a military genius can bring us victory from this disgrace.
Yeah,
My lord,
and then the camels go into the back of our general, which was to be expected, but it was a desperation move. And now the centre of our line is gone. We're pretty much gone. The entire melee force is now routing, and this is being a rather catastrophic battle for Lourenco Portilla. Just before this fight, don't forget, he actually went off to get married. Distraction much? Maybe. That's what I'm blaming it on. Too busy getting his leg over, dropped a ball, pardon the pun, and now look what's happened. He is bitterly, bitterly disappointed the king. He's thrown away numerous Portuguese lives, who this entire army was celebrating victory. Marrakesh was about to fall. Their army was decimated. Their people were starving and wanting to come over to the side of Portugal just for mercy. And then out of the blue, bang. Whatever their family member's name was, I can't remember it now. Whoever he was, he is going to be showered with gifts, and he's going to be given the choice of concubines galore, no doubt, after this. He has absolutely pulled a blinder. Hats off to him. You win some, you lose some, and this is certainly a loss at this point. I was contemplating and trying my best to at least take down as many men as possible of the enemy, because of course we will be counter-attacking. We will not be taking this lying down, so as many men as we can dispatch, it will make our counter-attack that little bit more easier. But when you're left with a bunch of archers, even that is a rather fruitless endeavour. It is grim surveying, isn't it? Doesn't happen very often in Total War. You can pretty much count the amounts of battles I've lost on two hands. I would say one hand, but no, probably two. But this is definitely one of them. This has been and it was a 50-50 balance of power bar as well. And normally if you lose a fight when your odds are not in your favour, it's fair enough. But this was a 50-50. This was winnable, and we didn't win it.
I pray the course of this battle changes, because defeat seems almost certain.
So we decide to exit the battle. Now you'll note,
preserve us. We have been dealt a stinging defeat today.
You'll note that Lourenco Portilla at this point was still alive. You could see, just if you look close enough, you can see his character unit was still alive on the battlefield. We have no messages that he died. We accept the ransom because we will be taking these troops back in for a counterattack in due course. But Lourenco Portilla, in horrific shame, having been defeated when victory was almost certain. In fact, at the point of, this is how bad it is. If he would have attacked the city just one turn sooner, he'd have taken it with ease. But the fact that he waited till the very bitter end, the king blames him for not sending scouts out to ensure that this wouldn't happen. He did not utilise his scouts to full effect. And of course he's lost the fight, so that's an even bigger besmirchment. But the reason why I was bringing up the fact that Lourenco Portilla was alive on the battlefield when we exited is, as you will see very shortly, he ended up dead after the fight, as we get another cardinal promoted. Not a surprise there. So my only assumption is the utter shame led to him killing himself, as we lose our supreme merchant trading the gold, which is another unfortunate turn of events. We shall have to replace him shortly. Yeah, here we go. Lourenco Portella, a noble death. I would not call it noble, I would call it embarrassing. He took his own life after the horrific shambles that was the besiegement of Marrakesh, forever to be known in history as the biggest farce known to Portugal. Anyway, to slightly more brighter horizons, we go to Algiers, where the slightly more capable Egas Costa, despite his scurvy, is about to take Algiers. As soon as the siege equipment is built, at least he has done his job as requested. So we've got a bit of money to spend, as the Leonese, of course, took down the rebel army. They are in our lands, but we're hoping that they're going to turn around and march out of them. They're just simply doing us a service, taking down the rebels. And we start to focus our attentions on infrastructure. So a port in Porto. A port is being built in Lisbon. We turn to a market in Silves for more tradable opportunities and income. In Murcia, we turn to the grain exchange. So the king is preparing for his demise by strengthening the infrastructure of Portugal, making sure that we can fund future campaigns, making sure we can fund the counter-attack that's about to happen here against the Moors. At this moment in time, I'm checking the building browser to make sure, or to find out if I have a merchant's guild anywhere. I couldn't find one, and so I decided to recruit the merchant here in Fez and get him sent down as quickly as possible to the gold before a Leonese merchant swipes it from under our feet. Also, here in our priest-producing capital, I have decided to recruit another priest, because we have a priest to send to various locations of our kingdom. And now, for the recruitment, I think this is where I started. This is all after commentary, not just the battle, actually this as well. I just couldn't. There's no point in me stopping the recording, starting recording again to do the campaign map part. So the whole session is after recorded. You probably already gathered that anyway. But yeah, this is now the recruitment. This is the start of the recruitment of the counter-attacking force here. And Sancho de Portugal, with his 4-star command, he's actually a true-born, true-blooded son of the original, the original king. He's a true line, true blood, if you will. He's going to be tasked as the only man, really, the king can trust at this point to get the job done. So units have been recruited in Granada, units have been recruited in Cordoba, in Badajoz, in Melilla, and soon to be in Fez, because we need to get a full stack force ready post-haste. No dilly-dallying, no dithering. Recruit from far and wide, get those troops merged together and get them down to Marrakesh to remove this besmirchment from the history books as best as possible. As King Afonso the Merciless at age 63, still going strong, he's clutching on to life because he ain't popping his clogs until he's seen the Moors fall. At least that's what we're hoping anyway. So I'm just trying to assess how best to do the recruitment. The army's probably going to be a mismatch, but don't forget also that we have the remnants of the defeated army on the ships outside Marrakesh, so they can also lay siege at the same time. So we're going to have a stack and a half, really, when all is said and done, which will surely be enough to do what we must. We end the turn and see what happens. This is a rather long end turn phase. I could probably skip this out, cut this out of the video, but I won't. I'll just keep talking nonsense for a while. Sicily, not really making any movements towards us, thankfully, but they're just sort of pottering around, and they could be a prime target for us next. However, we can't really think about that right now. What we need to think about is exactly what on earth just happened. We need to think about. So I'm just checking my time limits here. Looks like half my video has been cut out. I don't think that's the case. Anyway, we'll continue on. The pitfalls of after commentary along with erroneous crashing recordings. Marvellous. Told you it was a long end turn phase, didn't I? Okay, we're soon to end. Rebels and then us and Rui Barros. A benefactor, an adopted son for Prince Vito the Lazy, who can't be bothered to even procreate properly, is deciding to adopt instead. King of Scotland is dead. The senior Duke is dead. And somebody else is dead. As is Rui Barros. Somebody got wind. Somebody popped him off. Somebody wants pure-blooded family members. I'll leave it at that. He didn't make it to the family. I think the king is beginning to crack down somehow.
This is as far as I make. Yes,
right, the merchant is recruited and now off to trade gold.
As you wish.
Although he was obstructed by a rebel army, and now he has to divert his attention elsewhere. Our merchant's wharf is done there. Lopo Pires, long-serving spy, has popped his clog. And Sancho de Portugal, Duke of Badajoz, is also now a drill master. He's preparing himself. He knows what's to come. He knows he's being summoned. He is leading this army, and he's getting himself ready. Speaking of which, we're just checking in on the recruitment, making sure everything is alright. And of course, look at that, we've got priests galore. So one is going down to Fez. No, they're not, because Fez has one. Scrap that. We're going down to Melilla, that was the place. One is going into Melilla who don't have one. And one is going down to, of course, to Marrakesh. Because we're going to be taking it soon. And we want a high-class priestly unit to convert that populace when we do take it. So we're getting ourselves prepared for the conquest. It's happening. You trust me. There's going to be no second chances for the Moors here. They will not defy us again. Communal farming in Cordoba. Continuing the theme of infrastructure.
Yes. Your orders?
We pull back the ships from back to the port of Cordoba in preparation for loading the troops on them to ship down to Marrakesh. This is where we check in on the recruitments. Everything is going fine. Recruitment finished in Melilla, so just have to wait for the other units to be ready, which will be one more turn. The joys and the benefits of recruiting from across the kingdom is that you can get a whole army thrown up in a couple of turns' time, and all is good. Right, let's change the negative to a positive. Igor Costa, not quite a 3-to-1 army strength, but it's good enough for me, considering the issues I've had. Auto-resolve was a welcome sight, and it was a damn good victory, and we take Algiers. We sack the settlement, giving us a potential 40,000 coin at the start of our next turn, which is pretty nifty, as we repair the damaged buildings, and of course a small chapel. Let's get things happening down here. Let's get that religion converted over to our way of thinking, and let's make this place our own. Igor Costa will remain there. We need a general's presence. That is our most easternmost border, and with the Sicily on that border, an enemy of the Kingdom of Portugal, he needs to be there in case of attack. In case we need to mobilise, he is going to stay down there. And it's pretty nice. It's on the coast. It's warm. You know, bed down. Have your family down there. Live. Enjoy. rather tinkling, serene music. Almost makes you wonder and ponder what's happened here. A rather grim session. Lives were lost. We've been suffered a heinous blow. And look at that! Our assassin, who was tasked with killing the family member that was leading that army, must have got wind of his approach, because he suddenly, after years and years of being sat outside that settlement, he's decided to run away. Yes, he definitely heard a capable assassin was getting near. That's the least of our concerns right now. We'll chase him down as best we can. Might be something out of like Benny Hill. Can you believe that? An assassin forced an army to move. Could be a tactic for the future. The King of Aragon is dead. We switched to diplomacy to see how that affects us, and look at that. Relations with Aragon have fallen to only amiable from good with the installation of their new leader. That could start to cause a problem. Although, given our status, it might not be too much of a problem. Here we go, we'll have a quick look at the king, who still is going strong. He's now 65 and still alive. 5th in the production ranking, which isn't too bad at all. And turning 8,000 coin per turn. So all in all, other than that slight little fly in the ointment that's just occurred, things are actually relatively good. Look at this, we have a cardinal meeting here. On the bridge. What are they plotting? I don't know. But yeah, a meeting of the cardinals.
Noble lord, care to see our wares, my lord?
So yeah, Aragon.
My way.
Would they attack
Continuing on tomorrow,
us?
my lord.
We're stronger than them, I think, and we are in the Pope's good graces. I mean, I don't think the Pope would take too kindly to his teacher's pet being struck down.
My lord.
But we'll have to see how that transpires. We see what comes into fruition there. Anyway, down we go, sending the cardinals and the bishops to their destinations. Algiers, of course, recently conquered, so all in all, things are quite nicely balanced. So the final act of today's session, which we are cutting short, about half an hour, because it's after commentary, and of course I want to continue on with live commentary after this, so keeping the session a little bit shorter. We are mobilising the forces.
Let me strike, my lord.
So Sancho de Portugal takes his small contingent from Badajoz. The crossbowmen come out of Cordoba, all of course going towards the port at Cordoba. We have the units from Granada too.
Onward. We march no further to the
Marching forth,
Name thy enemy,
all
Lord.
going as quickly as possible by the order of the king. They are to take Marrakesh and dare not even show their face in our lands if you fail me. At least Lourenco Portella had the
Move on.
sense to kill himself,
2 days march.
because he would not have been welcome
Your Majesty.
after that farcical.
Onward.
Making use of some of the rebel troops in this army, the rebel spears and the rebel infantry being put to use
Your Majesty.
as we
Yes.
just finalise the numbers,
Command me.
finalise the logistics. It's
Your Majesty.
quite the undertaking, mobilising an army across the land. It's not an easy task, you know. Something to be done in a flash and a click of a finger. No, there's a lot of planning, preparation. The men have to say goodbye to their families. A lot of wailing and crying, no doubt.
March.
Especially when the women have heard of the downfall of the other army. Why would they let their husbands, their brothers, their sons go to Marrakesh for a second time? Perhaps there's even word of some kind of conspiracy about the place. It's cursed. Anyone sent down there is going to die. It's cursed. Anyway, this is the end of the session. Join me next time when hopefully we'll get our revenge on the Moors and wipe them out for good. See you soon.